Thanks for joining us for a fantastic game. Like and subscribe for more. Pawn to d4.
Control of the centre with the knight, preparing to develop other pieces and potentially creating a pawn chain on the d-file.
This is a book move. The opening is called Indian defense, normal variation.
Pawn to e6.
Preparing to control the kingside and potentially create space for the bishop on pawn to g2 to develop, while also eyeing the pawn to d5 pawn and preparing to potentially push pawn to d4 further.
Pawn to d5 is the best move.
Knight to f3 is excellent. This develops a knight. This is a book move. The opening is called Catalan Opening closed.
Pawn captures on c4.
Bishop to g2.
Pawn to a6 is good. Bishop to b4 check is best. This develops a bishop.
Kingside castle.
Knight to c6 is the best move.
Pawn to e3 is best.
I played rook to b8 to prepare for the potential pawn storm on the queenside, supporting the pawn and putting pressure on black's position. This move also helps to control the pawn to b5 square, which could become a key strategic point in the game.
Developing the knight to a strong central square, preparing to control the pawn to d5 square and potentially putting pressure on black's position.
Queen to d7 is excellent. Pawn to e5 is best. This offers a trade.
Knight catches on c4.
Pawn to b5.
Knight from file c to d2 is best.
Bishop to e7 is the best move.
Knight to b3 is good. This defends rook on a1. Queen to e2 is best.
Bishop to e7.
I played pawn to e4 to challenge black's control of the center and create space for my pieces to develop. This move also pins black's knight on f6, putting pressure on the pawn to d5 pawn.
Pawn to a5 is the best move.
Pawn to e5 is best. This attacks the knight.
Knight to d5.
Queen to g4.
Pawn to g6.
Bishop to g5.
Pawn to a4 is best. This attacks the knight.
Bishop captures on e7.
Queen captures on e7 is best.
Knight to c5.
Knight captures on e5 is brilliant. This sacrifices the knight. Knight captures on e5 is brilliant. This sacrifices the knight.
Queen to e2 is excellent. This defends a pawn on b12. This creates a four-con pawn and knight. This move gains a tempo. Queen to h3 is best.
Knight to c4.
I played pawn to b3 to challenge black's pawn structure and prepare for potential pawn breaks on the queen side. The move also pins black's knight on c6, making it harder for them to develop their pieces.
Knight to d6.
Queen to e5 pinning the knight on b7, preparing to launch a potential attack on the king side, while also putting pressure on the black position.
Pawn to f6 is the best move.
Queen to e2.
Bishop to a8 is the best move.
Rook to c1.
King to f7 is a prophylactic move to prevent potential attacks on the king from the black knight on j8, while also supporting the pawn on pawn to f6 and preparing to develop the rest of the pieces.
Knight to c3 is the best move.
I played knight captures on c3 to challenge black's pawn structure and create a potential weakness on the queen side. The move also pins black's knight on c6, making it difficult for them to maneuver.
Rook captures on c3.
Bishop captures on g2 is best. This is a trade.
King captures on g2 is the best move.
I played pawn captures on b3 to challenge black's pawn structure and create space for my pieces to develop. The pin on black's knight on pawn to c4 was also a consideration, as it would have been difficult to attack. The move also prepares to develop the queenside pieces and potentially create a passed pawn.
Pawn captures on b3 is best.
I played rook from file h to e8 to challenge black's pawn structure and prepare for potential counterplay on the queenside. The move also pins black's knight on f5, making it difficult for them to maneuver.
Rook to 7.
Pawn to b4 is the best move.
Knight to a6 is best. This attacks the rook. This move gains a tempo.
I played knight captures on a7 to attack black's pawn on a7, creating a potential weakness and gaining a small advantage. This move also pins black's knight on a7, making it difficult for them to move without losing material.
Rook captures on c7 is best. This creates a four-con knight and queen. This pins a piece of the opponent to their king.
Rook from file b to d8.
Rook captures on e7 check is the best move.
Rook captures on e7 is best. This defends a knight on a7.
Queen to d3.
Developing the knight to a strong central square, supporting the pawn to d5 pawn and preparing to control the pawn to d4 square, while also eyeing the pawn to b3 pawn and potentially creating a pin on the pawn to b3 knight.
I played queen captures on b5 to challenge black's pawn structure and create a potential weakness on the queen side. The pin on black's knight also makes it difficult for them to defend against the potential fork on the king's side.
Knight captures on d4.
Queen to b6 is the best move.
Knight to f5.
Pawn to b4.
Rook to d4 is excellent. This attacks the queen. Rook to d5 is best.
Queen to b3 is excellent. This pins a piece of the opponent to their king. Queen to c8 is best.
Rook to b7.
Knight to c5 is best. This defends a queen on b3. This attacks the rook. This pins a piece of the opponent to their king.
Rook from file d captures on b4.
Queen captures on e6 check is best.
King to g7 is best. This defends a pawn on h7.
Knight to d7.
Rook captures on d7 is the best move.
Queen captures on d7 check. The game is over. It ended in a draw.